Hello, this is Kerry. I'm at another lake out here in the Phoenix metro area. This is actually in Chandler, pretty close to Tempe. This is one of the lakes at ASU Research Park. I've been fishing the ChatterBait with some different trailers, but primarily the Berkeley Havoc Rocket Craw, and the Green Pumpkin has been producing quite a bit more strikes in other water conditions other than low light or after dark. But I've been fishing, some of the lakes over in my area where I live. Some of them are private, and I have access to them because I live there. So I wanted to, even though this experiment isn't really, scientifically perfect, I wanted to add some control measures. So on day 5 today, I'm going to a different lake, and I do a lot of shore fishing. So when I can't get out on some of the other lakes here in Arizona on a boat, I do a lot of shore fishing. And so for the shore fishing guys, I've been making just a few more videos lately. Just showing some of the stuff I do in between work and whatnot. But anyways, I'm still using the ChatterBait, and just to show you a little bit of how I set it up, I basically I trim that skirt just behind the shank of the hook, maybe an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch, and I've got the trailer. I usually tip it and a little bit of chartreuse, but I also put a bait stop on the hook. I don't know if you can see that, but I basically put a bait stop on the hook so that that trailer doesn't, and the skirt doesn't move too much. Anyways, I use a couple of different rods on the. This is one that I built, but on the 1/2 ounce, I usually use a 7-foot. This is a 6.6. And it's a medium action with a fast tip, and my line is the Bass Pro XPS 12-pound fluorocarbon. I'm a lefty when I reel, so I've been using Garcias for quite a while. I've got a handful of Garcia reels that I use, mainly this one's the 5601 C4. So I use this quite a bit. With the Bass Pro fluorocarbon. There's times where I use, I'll use some kind of a braid. It just depends, but more times than not, I've done better on a fluorocarbon. And either 10 or 12 pound for me, because I'm not around a lot of structure when I'm shore fishing. Normally even 12 pound if I get out to some of the lakes. Now I know some of my friends and other people will run 14 or 17 pound if they're doing that slow rolling or jig fishing, kind of like what I'm doing there. But I found out that for me, and I'm not a pro, but I do a decent amount of fishing, and I grew up here in Arizona. I'm a native, and ever since I've been a kid fishing the canals, there's one thing that there's actually two baits that I learned worked really well. One is a crawdad type of bait. There's crawdads out here, and there are a variety of colors, but more times than not, they're probably greenish, especially when they're soft shell, and that's a primary target for bass. I get a lot of bass on the pumpkin seed, and I tip it with orange. I'll run a brush hog or a baby brush hog and one of those colors, pumpkin seed or a peanut butter and jelly, green pumpkin. It's just those are just great colors. I run a lot of lizards also. When I was a kid and even older, I used to fish lizards all the time. And there's always a lot of lizards around the lakes, but there's water dogs and salamanders, and if you can get your hands on some water dogs if you want to fish live bait, that's a no-brainer out here in Arizona. I mean, there's no way. I mean, if you go to just about any body of water, whether it's Lake Havasu or or any of the lakes in the Roosevelt chain, the lower Colorado down by Martinez Lake. You can throw lizard baits, you can throw crawdad baits if you're going for largemouth or smallmouth, and pretty much just clean up. At least that's been my experience. Of course, every fisherman's going to have, you know, their favorites, or they're going to have an opinion about it, and I understand that. But all I'm trying to do is just, you know, look for a technique to, you know, not only help guys that fish all the time, but a lot of the shore fishermen too. You know, it's hard enough to find a place to fish here in Phoenix, the Phoenix metro area, or some of the other cities. So, you know, that's why I try to find some techniques that I use. And I haven't made a lot of videos. I just started making more videos because there's some friends that I have that I work with now that are very avid fishermen, and we're always trying to find different techniques. And this isn't, you know, this isn't something I thought of. I've got to give credit to, backtrack a little bit. I was looking to do something different with a chatterbait, and I saw a video with a pro. His name's Ott Defoe, and he had mentioned that he was running the rocket craw behind it, and also out here, one of the local guys, and I see him occasionally when we're picking up baits at some of the stores around town. And that's Johnny Johnson. And the last time he was nice enough to talk to me when I saw him last, and you know, I'm not gonna divulge what he told me the trailer he uses, but needless to say, it's a very similar application to the rocket craw, and you know, slow rolling it in some of the lakes here when he does tournaments. So, you know, there's some things out there, and because of that, I decided to try it. So I can't take credit for, you know, that application. You know, Ott Defoe and you know, Johnny Johnson both mentioned some very similar techniques. So, you know, that technique where you've got, you know, the rocket craw, or a very similar pattern. I was running that pocket chunk on the back of a chatterbait. You know, it's just an excellent technique, and I've been hitting it. So I'm going to try and do a little control. I'm going to hit ASU Research Park, just one of the lakes here, you know, and see about that. And when I get done here, if I've got time, I'm going to go to Tempe Town Lake and run the same bait, the same color pattern. If I'm not getting any strikes, I'm going to change up. I might go with a perch pattern. I might even go with a shad pattern, and I'll run a pearl pocket chunk behind it. I'll do something totally different. I'll lighten it up and you know, run it through the mid-depth, top water. I'll wake it, and I'll see what happens, just as a control measure. But with this has been the best color so far: Green Pumpkin Rocket Craw and this California Craw 3/8 ounce chatterbait. So here it is. I'll make another video as soon as I you know, catch a couple of bass. Alright, thanks for watching. Well, here we are. I'm under the bridge at Tempe Town Lake, and got a pretty nice little bass here. He came up and took this guy pretty big. You can see this is under the bridge out here, and you know, I'm shore fishing, and I'm still using that California Craw and Green Pumpkin trailer. So as you can see, it's working pretty good out here in the real bright sun, and had a couple of nice fish come up at it over at ASU Research Park, but they're definitely a lot smaller bass. I didn't make any videos of that. They're, you know, basically just what I would call dinks, 10 and 12 inch, you know, and they're just coming up and, you know, barely getting on it. But these out here at Tempe Town Lake, they're, you know, they're probably a little bit bigger, but as you can see, this little bait works out here too. All right, well, there we go. Chatterbait, Rocket Craw trailer. This is Kerry, out.